All right. I will try to keep this really short. I've done this like 4 times and it's been too long. So, what I will be showing is how, not exactly how, but what are the setups and what my Photoshop files look like for these renders. Now, a few years, in the past few years, people have been asking me how or wanted me to show them exactly how they could use Photoshop to make their renders look the way they want. And so I've never really had an opportunity to um, until today, I guess. A few days earlier, I started doing this 100-day project thing. All the information is here put up on my website. I was introduced to it by my friend Morgan Fraser, who's been doing it since day one, April 6th. Plobjects, that's her plant objects. Very witty and cute. Anyways, let's go for this. I, well, I don't have the Photoshop file for this one anymore, but I still have Photoshop file for these two. They're quite large, and so I'm just gonna go ahead and show them. So these are the two files. What I'm gonna do is just very quickly go through the layers and maybe talk about what I was trying to achieve with those series of setups, but not in any further details than that. It's going to get too long otherwise and too boring. Anyways, I started off with this one, wanted to make it a little bit more analog looking, and so with a bunch of adjustment layers, this is what it looks like at the end. I'll show you. So some blending, some odd techniques that I used. Wanted to make it very strong in contrast, but also very monotonous in the way in color, to recreate that very vintage print look. And so this is the result, and I was quite happy with it. Second thing was adding the bridge, straightforward stuff. This is really simple texture, but now there's the discrepancies almost in the way it's presented, and the background, even though it's quite even though it's quite analogy, it still has that depth and shadows, and so I have to give the bridge that same dimension too. And that was done by adding these shadow. Painted in by hand, took me forever, but the result is satisfying. It's all blended in. After this point, it's all about making the whole thing looks nice and believable and portrays that liveliness that I wanted it to have, all the movement. And so that was done by adding these stupid clouds and birds. The cliche of architecture. But it works. There you go. I use some high pass here. It's good for, normally, like, people use it sometimes to just look up high pass sharpening or something. It's good. It's it's effective in bringing out details. This is a little bit much, but what it does is that it simulates that print artifact, that kind of look you get from print. I cannot really articulate why so well, but it works for me. And just some color adjustments, and this is the final result. Okay, let's go to the other one. Now this one was a little bit complicated. I wanted to create one point perspective, all in Photoshop. And so what I had to do, and this is how I work, is create a bunch of folders. And for each folder, I created a mask to, again, limit my work area to that particular area. So that, for example, like the wall here, when I put anything inside this folder, it only shows up within this non-red region, and that way I know that I'm just working on that one surface, not the other one, and so on and so forth. started off, I really need to credit this photographer, Adam Katz Sinding. Amazing, amazing portfolio. I'm not going to say anything else. And so, go on. Wanted to one point perspective and needs a horizon at the center of the composition. So let's fake that really quickly. Added the vertical surface, floor reflection. That it's quite a lot of work in itself because at first I wanted to just flip the whole image upside down, but then you will realize rather quickly that it breaks the perspective, and I had to do that manually. And I'll show you in the folder here the amount of work that goes into creating this one portion of the image. Everything that's highlighted here goes into that reflection. Not that much work, just takes a bit of time. Oh, shadow here. This is just a couple of curve adjustments. And I do this sometimes, like sharp shadow, soft shadow, not that accurate, but gets the point across. Right. Not much to talk about. It's a lot of playing around with shadow, and once I'm happy with it, just do some color adjustments here to get I hate to say the look, but essentially getting the look that I want. To portray that, that experience I was going after. Voila! And we are done.